you seen Star Wars?
It feels like almost every week now I am hearing things from credible Star Wars scoopers and journalists, and when I mean credible, I mean that I trust what they're saying, but it's like every week we're hearing that there's a new Disney project or project that Lucasfilm was working on a specific character in the Star Wars universe, whether it be a Ben Solo series, Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett are supposed to get their own spin-off series, Lando's supposed to get his own spin-off series, and this guy, whose name is Daniel Richman, he also came out with a report last week saying Mace Windu was going to get his own Star Wars spin-off series, or kind of a, not even a series, but just basically a standalone project. Well, this man Daniel also says that Disney has plans for multiple projects involving Darth Bane, potentially including a solo project, and right now it's unknown if these projects would be a theatrical release, like a different Star Wars movie in the future, maybe the 2023 film by Taika Waititi, or maybe the 2025, 2027, or if it would be a Disney Plus series. But this, in my opinion, out of all the news about these specific Star Wars characters getting their own shows or series, this is the one that interests me the most, because this is a newer character, at least in the terms of what's canon in the Star Wars universe. Darth Bane is canon in Star Wars due to Clone Wars Season 6, The Lost Missions, Yoda visits. I think it's Morban. They changed up the story from the expanded universe, but basically he visits there, and it's established that Darth Bane is the creator of the Rule of Two for the Sith. And I like that because Darth Bane, at least back when Star Wars only was in high school, middle school even, I love Darth Bane. He was my favorite Sith of all time. I love the purple lightsaber that he had. I love that he basically was kind of the reason the Sith became that Rule 2 format, where it has one Sith master to embody the power of the Sith, and then the apprentice who is meant to crave that power and eventually take over. And ironically, I have not read all the books. I remember reading the first one when I was young, and then listening to the stories of the second and third. But now it's hard for me to actually remember everything about the Darth Bane story, and I think it would actually be a good idea for Lucasfilm either to retell the story as it was in the expanded universe, or retell it in a new canon form, because they can kind of do whatever they want with the character, and I think he is a great Sith to explore. One thing I've had a little bit of an issue, and I'm not even going to say a little bit, a kind of big issue with Star Wars since they got rid of the expanded universe, even though it was never really considered canon. One thing I've had a problem with is that they haven't really explored the origins of the Sith, or even the Jedi, but just more or less the Sith in general. I mean, to be honest, since the sequels, the only Sith we really knew about were Snoke and Kylo Ren, who aren't even Sith, and that turned out to be something by Emperor Palpatine. There's a few that were revealed in the, I think, Darth Vader comics, so that was kind of interesting. In Rebels, they had that war on, what was it, Malachor 5, I think, where it had, a big Sith shrine and temple, and it wiped out, a Sith and Jedi army. That's kind of cool, and that's kind of interesting, but that also hints that it wasn't just a Rule of Two kind of style for the Sith, that there were more than one or two Sith at the time. So I think it would be a great idea to explore the Sith Order, what they mean and what they want in the new Star Wars canon, and kind of how Darth Bane changed what the Sith did and how they went about in creating the Rule of Two. I think it's a very interesting story, and honestly, if he had his own spin-off series, I think there would be a lot of interest in that, because one thing that's kind of odd to say, and it's kind of a bad habit of Star Wars fans, and I guess just fandoms in general, we all like knowing about the bad guy. We don't really want to root for him necessarily. When it comes to good versus evil, we always want the good to win, but the bad guy is normally the cool guy. He's normally the one you look at and you're like, ooh, he's intimidating and he's interesting. Darth Bane is kind of that figure. He could be a good anti-protagonist for our story, and honestly, it would be really kind of cool to see what era they would put him in for the new Star Wars timeline. Would it be definitely before the High Republic, I would imagine, but when in the timeline would that be? Would it be 1,000 years before the Phantom Menace, 2,000, 10,000? I mean, there's endless possibilities in the timeline right now, and also how it affects the Sith Order. How many Sith were around when Darth Bane came about? And since he created the Rule 2, we can find out how he went about that in the new Star Wars canon compared to the expanded universe. Maybe they could retell it in a different form, then maybe they can make it even better. I just think it's a great idea to explore a new Star Wars character that we haven't really seen before in live action or in the shows, because everything that we've been hearing about of, we're going to get a spin-off series about Mace Windu, we're going to get more Solo, from Solo Star Wars story, that Han Solo, the young Han Solo, we're going to get more about Lando, we're going to get more about Kira, we're going to get more about Ben Solo. It's all these characters, even Ahsoka and Boba Fett, it's characters we know, and a lot of their stories are basically over and done with. Darth Bane's story, while he's dead in the timeline that we normally follow, he's still a story we don't really know much about in the new canon, and I think that means there's a lot of possibilities of what to do, not only with this timeline, but with him as a character. We could even use his apprentice, Darth Sana, maybe from the expanded universe, and put her into this series, and then maybe give her her own spin-off film or spin-off series. I'm also interested if they're going to do an actual movie for this, like a theatrical release movie. I doubt that's what the 2023 film from Taika Waititi would be about, but if it is, you got my full attention. I mean, you just have to say it's about Darth Bane. I don't even know what the title would actually be. I mean, you could simply do Star Wars The Rule of Two, which we all would know as diehard Star Wars fans, would be about Darth Bane. But you could also use a lot of different names, you could use different stories, and in the report itself, it wasn't that it's just going to be a specific spin-off movie or a series solely based on Darth Bane. In the report, they say they're going to use him for multiple projects, and that's not confirmed or anything. We don't really know the full development of this yet, and we probably won't know for another year or two. But what's interesting about that is, if he's in 2, maybe 3 Star Wars shows or spin-off series and whatnot, to me the big question would be after that is, what are these new storylines that we're exploring about? Like, are these about Jedi who've come across his tomb on Morban, and that's kind of how he's involved with their stories in, like, let's say a live-action sense? Or are these stories taking place in the same time that Darth Bane is alive and well, whether it's the beginning of his Sith journey, the middle, basically the prime of his life, or closer to the end where he's kind of passing the mantle on to his next apprentice and beginning the Rule of Two? There's a lot of questions that can be sprung from the idea of him being involved in multiple projects. And remember, they're also doing the same thing with Darth Maul. So it seems like Disney and Lucasfilm primarily, is looking at actually exploring a little bit more about the Sith and mainly using the bad guys kind of as a way to bring a lot of projects and series together. Kind of like how they've been talking about doing it with like Marvel or Game of Thrones, where you have a lot of characters with different stories that we explore. This seems like a way to not only expand the Star Wars timeline that we know right now, but also expand the scope of the Star Wars universe, and mainly the aspects of the Sith and the Jedi. And that is what interests me the most about this, is that I really want to get to the nitty-gritty on how Darth Bane came to be in the new Star Wars canon, and also what that means for the Sith Order and the Sith lineage in the new Star Wars canon. But tell me your thoughts below. Do you want a film or a spin-off series based on Darth Bane from the expanded universe? Tell me your thoughts below. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, because it does help out the channel. I'm Star Wars Only. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.